Thank you. Welcome to the Staffordshire County Showground. This is the final event of the County Council Campaign Trail. It would have to be really, the polling is tomorrow. So my name is Peter Donnell, and I'm actually the Regional Manager for the West Midlands for Reform UK. Too kind. It's been an amazing campaign to be a part of. Pretty much every opinion poll has Reform UK at the top. Excellent. And it's just been a really interesting, exciting few months. Our Prime Minister, with the help of the Supreme Court, has worked out what a woman is. Right? That's always good news. Kenny Badenoch is busy adopting Reform UK policies all over the place. And then scratching her head why she's wondering why people don't believe she'll actually do anything about them, but there you go. Incidentally, this is the 25th anniversary of the Tories' promise to reduce net migration to tens of thousands. We've only recently found out she meant weeks, not years. And the Lib Dems, their leader, I think, is still Ed David. He's no doubt out doing something strange, somewhere ridiculous, but for reasons which no one can quite make out, so he's doing his thing as well. Candidates come to me all the time, speak to me, and they tell me they get amazing support everywhere they go, which is brilliant. Tomorrow night we'll find out if that support's translated into votes, which we obviously really hope it will, and they work really, really hard to make sure it does. Our first speaker this evening is a guy who stood for us in the general election, and he's then brought up a really successful branch. He started a branch as chair in Sutton Coldfield. So would you please give a really warm welcome to Mark Huff.
Good evening, everyone. So, I got the call to do this quite late today, but I'm used to being a stand-in. Usually, the last thing I was introduced as the guy that GB News get when Nigel's not available, Richard's not available, Zia's not available, and me it's Lee. I think it was a nice introduction, but I'm not quite sure. Talking standing in for Lee. Anyway, I'm the chairman of Sutton Coldfield Reform UK, and I was a candidate in Sutton Coldfield, which is a very safe Tory seat. Delighted to get 17% in that safe Tory seat. Interesting points, thank you. Interesting points holding on to the Lee Anderson lookalike competition. The Birmingham Mail article that they did just before the election said, the Lee Anderson lookalike who's rocking it in Sutton Coldfield. However, not all of those lookalike comparisons are friendly. A couple of my favourites are, you're a pound shop 30p Lee. I'm not quite sure how that works out. You're Lee's love child. That's another one. But my favourite bit of abuse from our opponents was, you look like Desert Orchid with that hair, that nose and those teeth. I replied back, yeah, a winner. It never ceases to amaze me when you're on the campaign trail just how thick some of our opponents can be. We were campaigning in the election campaign and my wife's Indian, she's 5'2". Some big bloke got out of a car. He looked like a typical Labour supporter. You know, never had a job. Rather large, scruffy, and called my Indian wife a racist scumbag. Sometimes that's what we're up against. Also during the campaign, I had a hatchet job done on me by the Birmingham Mail. So they started to turn on me after the nice little comments they made. Just imagine walking into your co-op to go and buy some drinks and seeing yourself on the front page. And then you think, oh dear, I didn't even know anything about this. And then you scan it, and the guy next door to you, the scanner's doing the same, and he looks up at me and he goes, this isn't looking very good, is it? Anyway, they subsequently removed the article because it was all fact, it was all false. Ultimately, being a candidate's extremely rewarding. The well-wishers are amazing. Even to this day, it really gives you a boost. You actually find that actually how many people really support reform. It's hard work, but you need a team, and some of my team are here, and they're just fantastic. I was telling some people earlier, I had a supporter the other day. He came riding up to me, and he looked like a bit of a roadie on his bike, young lad. And he came up to me and he went, yo, bro, you're the business. When I told my daughter, she said, was he drunk? But we worked really hard in our campaign, very visible, innovative. And as most of my team tell you, I'm quite a shy person. Seeing your picture go up all over Sutton Coldfield was quite funny. The opponent's reaction was quite different. To be fair, the Labour candidate was pretty courteous. The Conservative candidate was rude, to the extent where he didn't even shake my hand at the hustings. And then I met Jess Phillips. Yeah, I used to quite rate Jess Phillips, actually, because my wife's done some work with her because she actually works with children. Unfortunately, Jess Phillips is the epitome of what happens when somebody gets into power. They forget their soul. Anyway, why am I standing for reform, and why do I still do a lot of work with reform? Well, I'm a former Tory chairman. Boo. But I resigned due to the mess the Tories were making and their European stance. Our local branch now has got over 450 members. Meetings have had over 70 in attendance recently. So our policies. I stand for reform because of our policies. Now, some of you might notice I've been on holiday. If you haven't noticed, you need to go to Specsavers. And you can guess, on my holiday there was definitely no dimming of the sun. What I found is I went to the Far East, and a lot of these countries I went to in the Far East stood for exactly the types of things that we at Reform UK stand for. Low tax, high growth. I went to Vietnam, their annual growth is 7% per annum. We can only dream of that. They've got strict immigration. Every time we got off the ship, I was on a cruise, you found that you were actually heavily checked every single time. The streets were clean. There weren't bins piling up. It was all properly organised. There was no net zero nonsense. And the one thing that struck me about all of these countries in the Far East I went to was the pride that people had in their country. The taxi driver that picked us up from Singapore couldn't tell us how good Singapore was. And I was sat there thinking, good grief. I'm not proud of this country the way it's going at the moment. Locally, we find that the councils run for the benefit of employees and not the public. It was actually embarrassing when people found out that I'm from Birmingham, although Sutton Coldfield is in Birmingham, unfortunately. Even the Americans on the cruise knew about the bin strikes and about the rats and about the bins piling up in the streets. It was embarrassing. The potholes, the waste, £23 million per annum on DEI roles across the country in councils. Scrap them. The corruption. In Birmingham alone, there's an £11 million scandal going on regarding taxi drivers across the city. And don't forget, 23.5% of council tax goes to employee pensions. This needs to be looked at. And it's not confined to Birmingham, it's across the country. So we'd scrap the DEI, diversity, inclusion. We'd scrap net zero initiatives. We'd commission independent auditors to root out waste. And we'd spend money on repairing the potholes, bin collections, and all essential services. I think these elections are really important, that we get as many council seats as possible, and of course that we take Runcorn tomorrow. And on a national basis, we need to send a clear message to two-tier Keir. Demand the end of the Labour cover-up on the rate ban scandal. Demand a national emergency on the boat crossings. An end to two-tier justice and policing. Stop sending our money abroad. £101 million to Palestine yesterday, £226 million to Sudan, £11 billion to Africa in green initiatives and scrap net zero. We've seen what it's done to Spain, and it's coming here soon if we don't do it. They spent £21 billion on a carbon capture project that won't even work, all while scrapping winter fuel allowance for pensioners. So tomorrow, go out and vote for reform, for better cost-effective services, and to send a message. This country wants you gone, two-tier care. Thank you very much indeed for listening, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Our next speaker, our next local-ish speaker in the West Midlands is someone who was actually the first person to get elected onto council as a Reform UK candidate in the West Midlands. Her name's Anita Stanley, and she got elected in Wolverhampton, Bilston North. Previously to getting elected, the seat was 71% Labour, so she proved just what we can do with hard work and great campaigning. So please welcome Anita Stanley. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Yay! Yes, it's possible. Look, I've managed it. Woo! Okay, my story started last summer when I was a fed-up pensioner, just sitting on my settee, watching the telly and the news. Dreadful. Didn't know who to vote for. And somebody told us, well, let's go to the local hustings and see who the candidates actually are for the general election in our area. So we did that, and that's where my husband and myself, we actually met this lady called Celia Hibbert. Now, she's a 6-foot-tall lady, ex-beauty queen. She comes from Nigeria, and she's an experienced councillor. So her mission was to actually make sure that we change the nature of the council in Wolverhampton. She was tired of being, first of all, she was a Labour candidate, but she couldn't follow the party whip. They were going off-piste. So she became independent. And because of hard work, working for the local community, she built up a reputation and has, since every time there's an election, she comes up for re-election, she gets re-elected with an increased majority as an independent. But she led the way to myself being a Reform candidate, because a by-election came up in the Bilston North area last October. Okay, so my life started turning itself around, upside down and wherever, last October, when Celia took this pensioner who was not a politician, but, you know, I've had an interesting past in education, so I'm aware of what's going on, and I didn't like it. So Celia sent my husband and myself, said, go down to the event that's going on in Birmingham. They're launching a new party. It's called Reform UK. Go and see what's going on there and see if it's okay. And then you can stand as a Reform UK councillor, as a candidate. So, okay, we went along, we met wonderful people, just like yourself, from all walks of life, right from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, English people. We were all fed up, we wanted a change. And so I thought, well, I think I fit in with these people. They feel the same as I do. So I actually thought, well, Reform OK looks OK to me. The people are nice, the leaders are good, they're saying the right things. And so I agreed to stand as the local candidate for Reform UK. And in Celia's words, just see if we can get any votes. Okay? So that was the situation last year. It was a new party, see if we can get any votes. So I followed Celia's lead with some of my team here who have been fantastic stalwarts, Renee and Paul, yeah, and lots of others. We came across these people who also wanted to help. So with their help and Celia's leadership, we took each day as it came, because I hadn't got the first clue about how to campaign. But I found this wonderful lady, and she found me, and she had the experience. And so, day by day, we followed what she said we needed to do. Okay. So, after a few, knocks on the door and whatever, and we gave out some leaflets, it came to the postal vote. And suddenly we realised, right, we've got a special letter individually addressed to all the postal voters. But Celia says, oh, we need to get this out. We've got to get it out quickly before the postal vote lands on the mats. So that was the big push forward that we had to do. But in order to do that, we got the team together. My husband kindly did the Hungarian goulash, because he's of Hungarian origin from years ago. And we all enjoyed a bit of goulash as we were stuffing the envelopes with the letters. So it was a lovely mixed community day, because we've got supporters in Wolverhampton from all backgrounds, all ages, and it was a nice community activity. And then we did the deliveries. So it came to the actual day of getting the vote out. That's another important day, as yes, today and tomorrow is going to be for these elections locally. So to get the vote out, it was interesting for me because the day actually fell on Halloween. So the scary bit was walking around the streets of Bilston, and every now and again you'd come across these people who were all dressed in gory outfits. And you'd suddenly go, oh, and ask them, well, before you go to your party, have you been to vote yet? And also there was Diwali going on. So you come across groups of beautifully dressed young ladies and not so young ladies in glittering outfits, and we asked the same. Oh, hello, before you go to your party, can I just ask, have you been to vote yet? And they'd say yes or no or whatever, and they'd make sure they go and vote. So we worked for absolutely every vote. But with everybody's help, I was lifted through this whole process, guided through by an experienced lady and a team of wonderful helpers. Okay, so the actual day arrives. We've got the loudspeaker going on a van with some important voices going on, saying, vote for Anita Stanley. And it was quite a day. It was very busy, and we went to the count. Now, in my mind, I was still thinking, well, we've worked hard. Yes, we worked every day. We were out twice a day, every day, because we were testing the water and we had no data. So we had to make sure we knew where the people were who wanted to vote. So, for us. So the count was interesting because I was thinking, oh, I wonder if we get any votes. I wonder if I get any votes at all, you know. We'd had very positive feedback on the doorsteps, but to actually witness it, and the piles were going up, and the piles were going up, you think, oh my God, I might win this. And then eventually it came to a stage where the calculation was that Celia said, we've won this, we've won it. Really? Anyway, the Labour group, and there was lots of them, must have realised that they'd lost. And so they just disappeared out of the room. And I thought, oh, OK, see you later. And yes, I was duly elected. And so that was a wonderful experience. Thank you. So obviously since then I've been on a bit of a learning curve. In fact, somebody said it's a vertical ascent, but there you go. And so I've obviously been doing the job of a councillor, and there again you do get support in the council. There's a group of people called Councillors Support, and you send all the issues into them, and they get the right department working for you, and they have to feed back to you within 2 weeks. If you're not happy with the result, then you can go back to them. Okay, so councillors do have a lot of ethos and power, really, to make a change. I am the one and only Reform UK councillor in Wolverhampton at the moment. Thank you. I've been supported by 3 other independent ladies, 2 of whom are ex-Labour, one's an ex-Conservative. They're all gone independent, and myself as a Reform. Now, our elections in Wolverhampton are not until next May 2026. So then I am hoping, praying, and working towards making sure that we get all Reform UK councillors that are possible to elect. So year by year we will take over the power of the council and start making sensible decisions. That's the aim. Okay, alongside that, obviously I have been in the role of the chair of Wolverhampton South East, and so we've got a group of people together who either want to work towards becoming candidates themselves for next year and the year after and the year after, and we are working to develop those people. And we are fundraising. We've got a range of about 24 different fundraising activity ideas that we're putting in place in all of the wards of the South East area in Wolverhampton. So we're hoping that we will have enough money after we work hard all year to support the candidates, because we don't want them having to pay out of their own pockets if we can avoid it. I've been supported all the way. We're encouraging new candidates at every opportunity, and we are giving them the message that we want everybody, whether they're supporters or they want to become members, to register on the Reform website, okay, Reform Party UK website. Get yourselves registered or become members if you possibly can, because that's the way that the chair can email information to everybody and let you know when the events are going on. So do that. So join Reform, be a supporter, encourage the candidates, stand as a candidate yourself, and the main job tomorrow is to vote Reform. Yes! Okay. Right, okay, thank you very much. Now, I've got one important job to do now, and that is to announce the arrival of the leader of our party, Reform UK, Nigel Farage. Please give him a warm welcome. Thank you.
I now call the leader of Reform UK, Nigel Farage.
We are the new kids on the block. We have no experience in this Parliament whatsoever, even though some of us have tried many times over the years previously to get here. So we can't judge you from working in this place, but we can judge you from the way the outside world sees you. Believe me, folks, this is just the first step of something that is going to stun all of you. Thank you very much.
Nigel Farage is Reform UK ahead of the Tories for the first time.
The party has rocketed up the polls since Nigel Farage announced that he was taking over as leader.
Re-energise Reform and seem to give them a poll boost.
Hard work is the only way anybody succeeds individually. And hard work is the only way we're going to have a chance as a country to turn any of this around. You know, for a Labour Party that couldn't define what a woman was, couldn't define what a working person was, well, after today, I'm pretty convinced they can't define what economic growth is.
We believe that a society looks after its weak, but encourages everybody else to do the very best it can. We don't care about skin colour, we don't care about orientation, we care whether you share the values of this country. We care whether you obey the law, and we'll judge you on who you are. We'll judge you on who you are as a person. Isn't this what everybody wants? Is that what we're going to fight for? Can we make history? Are you going to be part of it? Thank you very, very much indeed. Good evening, Staffordshire! I have, for the last month, pretty much every single day, toured the length and breadth of England, where, of course, we have a parliamentary by-election which takes place tomorrow in Runcorn and Helsby, with, I think, our absolutely excellent candidate of Sarah Pochin, who despite the fact that it's Labour's 16th safest seat in the country, I'll tell you what, tomorrow we're going to give them one hell of a run for their money. I've also been travelling the length and breadth of the country to support our 6 mayoral candidates, and I've been travelling the length and breadth of the country in the 23 counties in which county council elections or unitary elections are taking place. I have been down to the west of Cornwall, I've been up to the north of Northumberland, all the way to Hadrian's Wall, and I've been doing this non-stop for a month. But I decided that I would have the last night of the campaign, the last event here in the heart of England in Staffordshire, where we tomorrow and here tomorrow in Staffordshire, we are going to do better than any of you in this room right now can even believe. There will be an earthquake in Staffordshire that will spread out across the rest of the country. We are going to do phenomenally well tomorrow. But let me tell you something. I stood in the counting hall in Clacton in the early hours of the 5th of July last year, having only decided 4 weeks before that I would give up my happy, comfortable, lucrative life and throw myself back into British politics. And as I travelled up that day to give this press conference on the 3rd of June, last year, with just 4 weeks to go before the election, I sat in the car and I thought, why am I doing this? Do I need my bumps felt? And I sat and thought about it. And 3 words came to my mind. Family, community, country. They're the things that I love. They're the things that I care about. They're the things that you care about. They're the things the silent majority in Britain cares about. And they're all under threat and all being damaged by a two-party political system that has failed us, that has betrayed us, that has let us down, and we need something completely fresh and different, not just at national government level, but at local government level too. And I committed on that morning, I said that I would professionalise and democratise this party. And now, 9.5 months on, to be here in Staffordshire, where we have 62 vetted candidates standing in every single county council ward, for us to have managed to put into the field more candidates than either the Labour or the Conservative parties, and to travel around the country as I have, to meet groups like you, to see the energy, the enthusiasm, the optimism, the humour. I can't tell you how immensely proud I am of what we've done, and to be here on the eve of this poll. We have achieved in 9 months what would normally take 20 years, and without you, the People's Army, this could never have happened, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, local government normally slips below the radar. You pay your council tax, you get your extra 5% rise every year, but you generally don't know where that money goes or what's being done. And as part of our professionalisation, we put in January of this year, 3,000 freedom of information requests around all the councils. And what we found was really quite extraordinary. Here in Staffordshire, millions of pounds spent on agency workers and consultants. And here in Staffordshire, £18,000 spent on driving lessons for asylum seekers. What the hell is going on? Here in Staffordshire, hundreds of thousands of pounds committed to fighting climate change. Here in Staffordshire, plans in moorlands for a very, very big onshore wind farm. And just down the road here, recently approved plans for a massive solar farm. Your money is being mismanaged by Staffordshire County Council. Staffordshire County Council should be delivering social care, they should be delivering special educational needs, and they should be mending potholes. But they seem, this massive majority government here in Staffordshire has gone totally woke, and it's spending money on diversity, equity and inclusion. It is spending money on climate change initiatives. And let me tell you something, if we win this council tomorrow, there will be no more working from home. They will come into the office or we'll get rid of them. There will be no more money spent on diversity, equity and inclusion, because we believe in this party that people should be treated on their merits, on the content of their character, regardless of their race, religion or sexual preference. We want to live in a country where everybody is equal. And we will stand up and fight against these mad net zero agendas. I don't want to see productive farmland covered up with solar panels made by slave labourers in China, that frankly, well, it's sunny today, but it's going to be sunny tomorrow as well, I'll come to that. But very often it isn't. And the dangers of this net zero cult. And I think the reason is our politicians no longer believe in God. Our politicians no longer stand up, understand, and respect the fact that everything in this country has been founded and built upon Judeo-Christian culture. That is who we are. It's who we are. But no, they're all obsessed with climate change. We will fight if we win this council, or if we have to do a deal with anybody else. We will fight solar farms. We will fight wind farms. We will fight against now, in some areas, of course, there is no change. And I say this having come hot foot from the House of Commons today, where I had the pleasure of asking the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, a question. I'll tell you what I asked him. I said, given no, do you want to swap places? I said to him, so far this year, 10,000 young, undocumented males, most of whom come from a culture that is entirely alien to ours, many of whom, once they come, have the potential to do us great harm. 10,000 young men have crossed the English Channel already this year. A 40% increase on the numbers that came last year. We are headed for record levels. And I made the point that it's those people whose alarms go in the morning, those people who get up and go to work, those people who pay taxes, that are funding a lifestyle for those who come to Britain illegally, which means not just four-star hotels, but now, as you've seen, private rental accommodation in mass numbers. And I said to him, smash the gangs. All he's done is smash the Conservatives' dismal record. The Labour government are even worse on the Channel than the Conservatives were, if you can believe it. And I said to him, it's time to declare a national emergency and take appropriate action. And I cannot think of an issue, that upsets the British people more than this. Why? Because it's just unfair. It's just wrong. As soon as they arrive, they get GP appointments. They get free dental care. How many people here have an NHS dentist? I bet not very many. And it's also unfair to those who spent thousands of pounds to come to the country legally. Because these people jump the queue, and then what happens is, because we don't deport them, they're given indefinite leave to remain, and then they go to the top of the social housing list, above that of British families, above that of ex-servicemen and others in need. It is unfair, it is wrong, it is breeding resentment, and I have no confidence that either party have the moral courage to stand up and to do what is right. And I tell you what, these may be local elections, but the impact of national policy is there for every council to see. And we've made it very, very clear. The only way you stop people paying traffickers and coming into Dover, and by the way, I was saying this 5 years ago, do you remember? I was the first person going out into the Channel warning about this. The only way you stop this is you make it not worth paying the trafficker 3,000 euros, 5,000 euros, whatever it is. And how do you do that? You deport those that come illegally. You do it immediately. But we can only do it if we leave the European Court of Human Rights and take back our sovereignty. Well, as you may well predict, that was not the answer I got from Keir Starmer in PMQs. I got a lot of waffle. It's all completely meaningless twaddle. And they all need to go. We'll start with Staffordshire County Council tomorrow. But talking of Staffordshire, here, Labour tomorrow will not be a threat. Because Stoke-on-Trent is not part of the county council arrangement. So Labour won't be a threat tomorrow. The Lib Dems are very, very weak in this part of the world, almost non-existent, sir. Yes. Their particular brand of pretending to be nice doesn't seem to go down too well in Staffordshire. God, isn't Ed Davey a Burke? I mean, honestly. No, this battle tomorrow here in Staffordshire is a straight fist fight between us and a Conservative Party that was elected in 2019 with an 80-seat majority, with a lot of help from me at the time, because I felt it was the right thing to do. This is a straight fist fight between us and the Conservatives. And there are two very important messages I want to impart to you tonight, here in Staffordshire, but that are relevant for every single one of these elections being fought tomorrow. My first message is to the candidates sitting at the front. And well done them. Well done them. Some of them have experience, but for many of them it's the first time ever they've put their heads up over the parapet and decided to stand for public office. And I thank them, although once they're elected they may not necessarily thank me. No, they will. They know. I've talked to many of them in my couple of trips to Staffordshire during the campaign. They know that success brings with it great responsibility. They know that we have to deliver in government in a way that the other parties have not. And I wish all of you that are successful over the course of the next couple of days, I wish all of you, once you're there in County Hall, I wish you all Godspeed. I know you're doing this for the right reasons. You know you're doing this for the right reasons. We will give you whatever help and support as a national party as we possibly can. But ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause. They're brave people. They're brave people. But this may be eve of poll. And all of you that are standing, and all of you that have knocked on doors and delivered leaflets, and all of you out there spreading the message and supporting, may well think, well, tomorrow's polling day, it's all a bit too late now, I'll just go down the pub and see if Nigel's there. But actually, tomorrow, there's a lot all of us who want successful Reform UK can do. Firstly, the weather is going to be amazing across the whole country. People will be out in their gardens, they'll be walking down to the shops, they'll be the afternoon and evening in pub gardens. It's a fantastic opportunity for all of you with Reform rosettes to be out meeting as many people as possible. Remember, in local elections, the turnout is normally 35 to 40%. There will be huge numbers of people here in Staffordshire and elsewhere who agree with everything we stand for, but are not in the habit of going out to vote in elections. Well, you go out there and meet these people tomorrow and work up until 8:30 in the evening and encourage them to go down, to vote, to begin, to start the kind of change that we need by clearing this big hurdle tomorrow that'll help take us on to victory, which I believe is achievable in the next general election. Don't waste tomorrow. Use tomorrow. Speak to people. Encourage them. And there's one other very big message that I think really matters, that you can use tomorrow, and I believe we can use from this moment on. Tomorrow is the day that two-party politics that has dominated this country since the end of the Great War, tomorrow is the day that two-party politics in England dies for good. The last two opinion polls that have come out show that despite the fact 9 counties, 5.5 million people, many of them our strongest counties on paper, like Essex and Suffolk and Norfolk, despite the fact elections were denied to those counties, even in the remaining 23, some of which we're strong in, some of which we're less strong in, even in those, the last two polls have shown, we are topping the national vote share for all the counties and seats that are up tomorrow. And if that plays out at the ballot box, it means one very simple, but one very big and very important message. If you vote Reform, you will get Reform. There's no more splitting of the vote. 40% of the dwindling number that still voted Conservative at the last election didn't vote for us because they didn't think we could win. They thought we'd split the vote. After tomorrow, when we're bigger than the Conservative Party and the world can see it, It'll be them that splits our vote. Vote reform, get reform. That is the message tomorrow, out on the doorsteps, in the streets, in the pub gardens, and I believe that'll be the message for the next 4 years in the run-up to the next general election. British politics is about to change in a way that nobody understands and nobody can see, but I feel it deep within my heart, and I sense that you feel it deep within your heart too. Let's make history and change our country forever and for good. And we already have a silent majority of voters out there. And the way we're now digging into the Labour vote, we are digging into the Labour vote in the Midlands and the North. We are now topping the opinion polls for general election intentions in the East Midlands, West Midlands, North West, North East and Yorkshire in the Humber. In fact, I can tell by the way the Prime Minister looks across the chamber at me. I think I've got inside his mind. Keir Starmer doesn't believe in anything. There are no principles. He just reads out the latest thing that Morgan McSweeney tells him to. And look who's around him. What a shame Lee Anderson's not here. He's on the Northern Comic Circuit tonight. He was pre-booked. But, you know, the Chancellor of the Exchequer that told us she was an economist at the Bank of England for 10 years. It turns out she's Rachel from accounts. And anybody in this room that's involved in retail, anybody in this room that's involved in hospitality knows that these national insurance increases are catastrophic. They will close down many businesses. They will lead to a big increase in unemployment. And frankly, she is completely and hopelessly out of her depth and as good as useless. And then we have a business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, who said he was a solicitor, but he never ever qualified. But here's the most damning thing of all about this government. 25 men and women in this cabinet, and not one of them has ever worked in private business. We're being run by human rights lawyers. We're being run by a bunch of college kids. We're being run by people who have no idea of how life really is for tens of millions of people out there. They are utterly disconnected, living in their own little fantasy world. And in theory, they're opposed by a Conservative Party that is split down the middle. And frankly, I couldn't tell you what purpose it serves. Tomorrow is the day when we replace a party that's been around since 1832, but is now past its sell-by date. Tomorrow is the day we replace the Conservatives as the main opposition to a poor, weak, hopeless, failing government. Tomorrow is a big day in our nation's democratic history and future. And you are all a part of it. You are part of our people's army. I'm very, very proud of all of you. You come from all walks of life, but I know the passion and determination that you have. The press, of course, when the results come in, will say, it's a protest vote. I'm not protesting, even though there is a lot to protest about. And you're not protesting. But like me, you know this country is in economic decline. This country is in societal decline. This country is in cultural decline. We're led by weak people who don't have sound, solid, good principles. But equally, what I've noticed about reformers, you may be the most realistic about the mess we're in, but you're also the most optimistic because you believe this party, with the right leadership and the right people, can turn this country round, can get it back on track. And we're doing it not just for us, we're doing it for the generations that come after. We may well be the last chance to save any semblance of what this country has always been and what those remnants who we celebrate next week on the 80th VE Day fought for, and generations before them. That is what this is about. That is what this is about. And I am determined. I'm more determined than I've ever been before. I'm unafraid of anything or anyone. I went through the jungle, you know. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they do. It is my honour to be at the head of this People's Army. And I want you please now to give applause as I invite all of the Staffordshire County Council candidates up on the stage to join me for this finale to the last event of this election campaign. But don't forget, go out tomorrow and campaign as well. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming along this evening. Wish these men and women all the very best for tomorrow. Let's bring success in Staffordshire and across our great country. Thank you.